Hey guys, and welcome back for the 31 days of Halloween. Today we're doing the wailing woman, also known as the Mexican folklore La Llorona, is a ghost of a woman who lost her children and now cries while looking for them in the river, often causing misfortune to those who are near or who hear her. As you can see, my brows are already done, so we're going to go in with the LA Girls Pro Coverage foundation in white. I have found that you do better with a primer that is not silicone based, and you apply this with a sponge and it works miraculously. Here we are, just going through and setting it with Airspun setting powder, one of my all-time favorites to have in my kit. But I like to use a sponge around all my trouble areas, and then like to use a big fluffy brush all over the face. We are going with light taupe from Coastal Scents. Oh, there you go. We're using a bunch of single shades from Coastal Scents today, but I'll show you them as we go. Here we are, just carving out the areas on the face that we're going to be using all of our shadows in. Just using a nice fluffy brush to carve them out a little bit, map it out, and blend it a bit. Almost like contouring, except for we're going to make it a little different. Here we are using Timeless Taupe from Coastal Scents, just to deepen up where we've already carved out and contoured our face. We will also be using these shadows on our eyes, so keep them available, or whatever shades you are using. We're going to use that same brush just to go through and deepen everything up. Now that we've used our big fluffy brushes, I'm going in with a much smaller brush. It's a little bit more pointed, but I'm using the same colors even though it looks darker, just to kind of give that line some more definition, build the color a little bit, just so it's more carved out and precise. But we have two more colors that we are going to use, but I'm just showing you what else we could do with the same colors that we've been using. Huge difference when you change up the brush that you're using. And then we're going to use a nice fluffy brush and go through and make sure we're blending and building those colors. Go back and add in the other color that we've already used as needed. Blend and add and keep the color that you need to whatever consistency you want. If you want it super bold and strong, or if you want a little bit softer. But y'all know me, I love it bold and strong as always. And as you need to, use concealer, go back in with your foundation and clean up those lines. It really makes a world of difference. Anyways, here we are going in with Burnt Brunette from Coastal Scents. We're just going to darken up that edge, and then we're going to blend it out again into our regular routine that we always do. And then we're going to jump to the eyeballs. Here we are, just moving on to the eyes. I like to start with the lightest eyeshadow and work to the darkest, just working up the creases and everything. And then eventually towards the end of the video, we'll be doing the lids as a darker shade. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do that until we get to more of the finished look. I used the two darker shades just to do all the creases on the face and the forehead and around the eyes to deepen the sockets and whatnot. But I put them in with a smaller brush, and I go in after with a fluffier brush or a blending brush, just to give them the effect that they need and everything. But these lines do not need to be clean, as this woman is dead. She is by the river, so these lines are not meant to be clean or any rhyme or reason. But she's dead, her eyes are sunken in, she's got the dark circles, the bags, all that jazz. So keep that in mind when doing this look. It does not have to be perfect unless you're doing a glammed up version of this, but I didn't want to go for that. I was going for a much different vibe with this, and I feel like we pulled it off very well. This is where we're going to start making the creases on the face, around the eyes, the mouth, the forehead, all that kind of fun stuff, just to really show the age of the wailing woman. So if you have to scrunch your face, take a look at some pictures. But I know where my eye bags are, and I scrunch up my face just to see where all my regular folds and wrinkles and whatnot were. So just go with it. Try to make yourself look aged. Aged is key here. And start with a more of a blending brush, and then I went with in after with a little bit of a darker shadow, and then I just put a little bit in the top of the crease where the crease would be deeper, but I didn't bring it all the way out to the end because the end shouldn't be so dark. Just like veins, it's always darker at the top, lighter at the bottom. Here we are, just going with that darker eyelid shade because I decided that the lids weren't dark enough. Just going to pat it all over the lid, and then I'm going to use a smoky eyeshadow brush just to blend out the edges a little bit and make it a little bit more finished and refined. Next, we're going in with Suva Beauty's Hydra liners that are activated with water. I'm just using a nail art brush, and I'm lightly going down and tapering down the face using these. When you cry or have any tears coming down your face, they tend to be thicker at the top and thinner at the bottom, just like when we did the shadowing on our face, or veins like I talked about earlier. So don't make them too thick all the way down. And I really try to follow the curves of my face as well, because if we go straight down, tears don't always fall that way. So keep this in mind as you're doing it. I didn't press hard with my brush. I kind of just veered my brush around, wiggled a little bit on the way down, but also let it follow the curves of my face as I did so. But I also thought about the corners of my face, how it would run down the side of my nose. Some should be down farther than others. So keep all of this in mind while you're doing it. Also, later on when I'm doing the tears that they're falling down my face, I realized they weren't close enough to my waterline. So what made sure to add it, make sure it's blended in really well, so some don't look whiter, spots don't look whiter than other spots as you're doing this. But I found that these Hydra liners weren't too thick, they weren't too white, as long as I didn't put too much on my brush. But this combo with this brush and these liners was absolutely perfection for what I was trying to achieve. Couldn't have been any better. Here is the finished look for the Wailing Woman. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this tutorial. I really love doing this because it's a little bit different than what I've been doing. But if you like this video, please make sure you share and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Love you!